Welcome back to The Explainer. I'm so thrilled you're joining us today because we're jumping right into the high-stakes, incredibly nuanced world of Italian corporate gifting. If you do any sort of business in Italy, or maybe you manage an Italian team, you already know that relationships are absolutely everything. But how do you actually express appreciation in a culture that basically invented modern aesthetics? Well, let's dive into it. Will your corporate gift actually deepen that relationship, or could it accidentally insult your Italian client? It's a real question that honestly causes a lot of anxiety for international businesses. Sending a gift sounds straightforward enough, right? But then you actually try to do it, and you start second-guessing yourself. Is this too much? Is it too little? Should it arrive before our meeting or after? You see, in Italy, getting the cultural nuance exactly right is usually the difference between a gift that cements a crucial business relationship and one that inadvertently signals you just don't understand who you're dealing with. It can literally make or break a partnership. So, to make sure you land on the winning side of that equation, here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover the cultural foundation, look at client gifting, boosting employee morale, the exact timing and occasions, logistics and bulk orders, and finally, the Walwater solution. All right, starting us off with Section 1, the cultural foundation, relationships before transactions. So before any business actually happens in Italy, trust and a personal connection simply have to be established. Business is deeply personal there, and it all hinges on this one defining cultural concept, la bella figura. This translates roughly to making a beautiful impression. Italians have a deeply cultivated aesthetic sensibility. I mean, think Renaissance art and haute couture. And this applies directly to corporate gifts. It means how a gift is presented is almost as important as what's inside. Elegant ribbons, tasteful packaging, these aren't just an afterthought. They actively communicate that you have taste and that you take quality seriously. The golden rule of la bella figura is quality over quantity, every single time. 3 absolutely exceptional items in a stunning basket will always outperform 12 mediocre items just stuffed into a cheap box. You can really see the difference when you compare them side by side. In a lot of Western corporate settings, a gift is, well, it's just a formality. You know the drill, a mass-produced coffee mug with a giant logo slapped on it, totally transactional. But in Italy, generic is literally the enemy. A generic corporate gift feels like it could have gone to anyone, which means ultimately it means nothing. An Italian corporate gift has to feature artisan curation, elegant presentation, and incredibly subtle branding. It must feel like it was specifically chosen for that exact person at that exact moment.
Moving right along to Section 2, client gifting, fine curations for high-stakes relationships. When you're dealing with high-stakes clients, you gotta remember that food and drink are massive cultural currencies in Italy. They represent identity and heritage, so the key is matching the exact right gift to the right person. For a traditional client, say someone in a family business, you're gonna want premium regional food and wine. Genuine Parmigiano Reggiano or a really premium Barolo tells them you genuinely respect their heritage. But let's say you're gifting an international executive in finance or tech. In that case, an elevated European hamper featuring French preserves or Belgian truffles shows you move in that same sophisticated global world they do. And for that VIP individual, you want a bespoke, personalized basket. If they happen to mention loving a specific cheese during a lunch meeting 6 months ago, making that the centerpiece of the gift is a profound act of respect. Okay, but as we learn what to do, we also really need to talk about what not to do. Here are the gifting mistakes you absolutely have to avoid. First off, cheap products. Just don't do it. They will notice immediately, and it just signals you aren't actually investing in the relationship. Number 2, over-branding. Plastering a gift in your company logo turns a relationship-building moment into a really cheap marketing exercise. Keep those logos incredibly discreet. Also, completely avoid sloppy presentation, and definitely don't give highly personal items, like clothing, too early in a relationship. Finally, remember that Italy is a predominantly Catholic country. You've got to be mindful of religious calendars, like periods of fasting during Lent.
Next up is Section 3, boosting employee morale, saying grazie meaningfully.
Now, shifting to the inside of the company, Italian work culture places a huge premium on human connection, community, and the absolute sanctity of the daily break. Because of that, you can't just treat every employee segment exactly the same. For office teams, the break area is a major hub of connection. Giving them shared snack or sweet baskets really encourages that communal experience and fits so naturally into their workday rhythm. But what about remote workers or brand new hires? You really don't want to overwhelm a new hire on day 1 with some massive, heavy hamper. Instead, a compact, really inviting box of high-quality coffee or chocolate delivered right to their home makes them feel seen and valued, completely without crossing any professional boundaries.
There's an amazing takeaway here. A gift doesn't need to be large. It needs to feel thoughtful. In Italy, a small gesture can leave a strong impression. You absolutely do not need to drop €100 on a huge hamper for every single employee. A small, beautifully packaged box of chocolates with a really simple note saying, Grazie per il vostro impegno, thank you for your effort, goes an incredibly long way in building real loyalty.
Which brings us to section 4, timing and occasions. When to deliver the perfect gift.
So in Italy, when that gift arrives is honestly just as critical as what's inside the box. Messing up the delivery window can totally derail all your good intentions. If you just closed a massive deal, that gift needs to arrive within 48 hours to act as a real celebration of the shared effort. If an Italian client is visiting your office or staying at a local hotel, have the gift waiting for them the evening before or the morning they arrive. It proves you're treating them as a highly honored guest. And for Christmas, which is the absolute biggest gifting season of the year, you want to aim strictly for December 18th through the 23rd. Delivering it early feels super premature, and arriving after Christmas, well, you might as well not send it at all. And since we're talking about Christmas, if you want an absolute guaranteed win, remember this. Premium artisan panettone is the ultimate, universally welcomed business gift. But, and listen to me carefully here, never ever substitute it with a mass-produced version from a supermarket. La Bella Figura absolutely demands that you use a respected, artisan producer to make the right impact. The difference in the quality, the taste, and the presentation is enormous, and trust me, your Italian counterparts will instantly know the difference.
All right, moving to section 5, logistics and bulk orders, navigating delivery in Italy. So, how do we practically make all this happen? Getting these beautiful, delicate gifts safely through the maze of Italian addresses can definitely be a headache if you aren't prepped for it. To guarantee successful delivery, you'll want to follow these exact steps. First, you absolutely want to choose a European-based gifting service. Trying to ship from outside the EU adds crazy customs risks and massive transit delays. Second, verify those Italian addresses meticulously. You need the province abbreviation and the postal or CAB code. Third, and this is a huge pro tip, always include the recipient's mobile number. Italian couriers rely super heavily on SMS alerts, and skipping this one little detail can completely ruin the surprise. Finally, add a brief, warm note. Even if you just manage one sentence in Italian, like con I nostri più sinceri auguri, it shows an incredible level of respect. Now, you're probably wondering about the budget. For standard client appreciation or typical employee gifts, you're looking at spending somewhere between 50 and 100 euros per person. That's a really solid, appropriate range. For major milestones or those VIP relationships we talked about, 100 to 250 euros or more is pretty standard. But remember that golden rule. No matter what your budget is, always spend it on fewer, exceptional items rather than a giant mountain of cheap ones.
And finally, let's wrap up with section 6, the Walwater solution, partnering for European gifting success. If the idea of managing customs, translating notes, and hunting down real artisan panettone sounds a bit exhausting, this is where Walwater Gifts comes in. They remove all the anxiety from cross-border gifting. Because they're natively based right in Europe, there are literally zero international customs delays to stress over. They offer hand-prepared, culturally intelligent curation, meaning they already know exactly what La Bella Figura requires. They handle seamless bulk ordering, so whether you're sending one bottle of Barolo to an office in Rome or 50 small coffee baskets to remote employees scattered all over the Italian countryside, they've got it. Plus, they ensure your personalized messages hit exactly the right tone. Because let's be real, getting Italian corporate gifting right isn't just about sending a box of snacks. It says, I pay attention, I understand quality, I respect this relationship enough to invest in it properly. And that right there is the true return on investment. It's the absolute foundation for building long-term loyalty and trust. So, if you're ready to just skip the stress and guarantee your gifts actually make that beautiful impression, you can head over and start building your Italian client and employee gifts today at sendgiftsineurope.com. The team at Walwater Gifts will handle everything: the aesthetic curation, the tricky logistics, and that crucial final mile tracking. I'll leave you with this one last thought to ponder. Are you ready to transform your corporate gifts from forgettable formalities into lasting Italian partnerships? Armed with all this new cultural intelligence, you've got absolutely everything you need to make a spectacular impression. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this explainer, and hey, happy gifting!